Hi guys, Miss Palmer. We're back to Dinosaurs Before Dark. We are on chapter 5. And if you recall in the last chapter, Annie and Jack met the Petrodon and touched him. But then off in the distance, they saw a huge dinosaur. Let's go. Chapter 5, Gold in the Grass. Go, go, said Jack. He threw his notebook into his pack. He pushed Annie toward the rope ladder. Bye, Henry, she said. Go, said Jack. He gave Annie a big push. Quit it, she said. But she started up the ladder. Jack scrambled after her. They tumbled into the treehouse. They were panting as they looked out the window at the dinosaur. He was standing on the hilltop, eating flowers off a tree. Oh, man, whispered Jack. We are in long time ago. The dinosaur looked like a huge rhinoceros. He had 3 horns instead of 1, 2 long ones above his eyes and 1 on his nose. He had a big shield-like thing on his head. Triceratops, said Jack. Does he eat people? Whispered Annie. I'll look it up. Jack grabbed the dinosaur book. He flipped through the pages. There, he said. He pointed to a picture of a Triceratops and he read the caption. The Triceratops lived in the Cretaceous period. This plant-eating dinosaur weighed over 12,000 pounds. Jack slammed the book shut. Just plants, no meat. Let's go see him, said Annie. Are you nuts, said Jack. Do you want to take notes about him? Asked Annie. We're probably the first people in the whole world to ever see a real live Triceratops. Jack sighed. She was right. Let's go, he said. He shoved the dinosaur book into his backpack and slung it over his shoulder and started down the ladder. On the way down, Jack stopped. He called up to Annie. Just promise me you won't pet him. I promise. A promise you won't keep. I promise. Promise you won't talk to him? I promise. Promise you won't? Go, she said. Jack went. Annie followed. When they stepped off the ladder, the Petrodon gave them a kind look. Annie blew him a kiss. Be back soon, Henry, she said cheerfully. Shush, said Jack. And then he led the way through the ferns, slowly, carefully. When they reached the bottom of the hill, he kneeled behind a fat bush. Annie knelt beside him and started to speak. Shh! Jack put his finger to his lips. Annie made a face. Jack peeked out at the Triceratops. The dinosaur was incredibly big, bigger than a truck. It was eating all the flowers off of a magnolia tree. Jack slipped his notebook out of his backpack and he wrote, Eats flowers. Annie nudged him. Jack ignored him. He studied the Triceratops again. He wrote, Eats slowly. Annie nudged him hard. Jack looked at her. Annie pointed to herself. She walked her fingers through the air. She pointed to the dinosaur and smiled. Was she teasing? She waved at Jack. Jack started to grab her. She laughed and jumped away. She fell into the grass in full view of the Triceratops. Get back, whispered Jack. Too late. The big dinosaur had spotted Annie. He gazed down at her from the hilltop, half of a magnolia flower sticking out of its mouth. Oops, said Annie. Get back, said Jack. He looks nice, Jack. Nice? Watch out for the horns, Annie. No, he's nice, Jack. Nice? But the Triceratops just gazed calmly down at Annie and then turned and loped away down the side of the hill. Bye, said Annie. She turned back to Jack. See? Jack grunted. He wrote in his notebook. Nice. Come on, let's look around some more, said Annie. As Jack started after Annie, he saw something glittering in the tall grass. He reached out and picked it up. A medallion, a gold medallion. But before we talk about the medallion, here's that Triceratops. You see him with his 3 horns, 2 over his eyes and 1 over his nose. He is as big as a truck, don't you think? A letter was engraved on a medallion, a fancy M. Oh, man. Someone came here before us, Jack said softly. Dun, dun, dun. What do you think is going to happen next? I can't wait to see. See you tomorrow.